Today we're going to talk about party music. What's a party, a get together without good music in the background? Our verse is Genesis 31, verse 27. So far, we have seen that music is used at creation. We see that creation itself is music. We see the invention of the musical instrument in Genesis chapter 4. We also spoke about the introduction of sin into the world, and the main player in that, of course, is Satan, who was previously Lucifer, who's described in musical terms in Ezekiel chapter 28, and his fall in Isaiah 14 also uses a musical instrument. It says that he fell and his viol fell with him. It wasn't an electric guitar or a drum kit. It was a viol, a violin, that most innocent of instruments. Well, we're looking at party music, Genesis 31:27. The background is this. Jacob has spent some time with his relative Laban. Gets married. Now he's leaving, but he leaves secretively. And Laban is reprimanding him and says, "Why did you leave in secret? I didn't even get an opportunity to kiss my grandchildren goodbye, give them a little spending money." But what he says in verse 27, he says, "I wouldn't have let you go off lightly. I would have thrown a nice party for you. You'd have left to the sound of joyful music, the music of the harp, the music of the tambourine." And that's the very first time in Scripture that we actually see music being used in a function. We see, of course, music at creation, but the very, very first time we see this is one of the ways in which music is used is in this particular verse where it talks about music being used to create that atmosphere of joy. My intention is to let the Bible speak, do most of the speaking, but where necessary, we can, of course, refer to extra sources which shed a light from a historical or even theological point of view. And in reading material from theologians and historians, Bible historians who specialize in the field of music, we read that there are figurines and iconographic depictions showing the instruments in use at that time. And the instruments they show a lot are chordophones. A chordophone is an instrument which uses strings, so various stringed instruments, and frame drums. The Hebrew word you'll see in the Bible for a frame drum or a drum is toph, and it's often translated as timbrel, and we will often translate timbrel as tambourine, but actually toph is a generic word indicating drums of different sizes. Some of them would be small hand drums, some would be like the tambourines which had the jingles in them, but the concept of skin over a round metallic or wooden rim, that is known as a toph, the timbrel or the frame drum. And we see those used with stringed instruments. And of course, later in Scripture, we will see them used with flutes, or sometimes called the pipe, the flute and timbrel. And these are used to create a very joyful sound to which people obviously would dance to. So this is an idea of how music was used at that time as celebration and as entertainment.